Good day.
So,
Today
good
we are
morning.
speaking with with the multi-talented Kimberly Ridgeway, actor, writer, director, and very grateful for you coming in to work with us today. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Let's get right into it. Um, is there one thing about the arts that you're missing the most during this time?
Uh, yeah, I miss the collaboration more than anything else. Performing is wonderful. Directing and having a vision for a show is amazing. But that collaboration with my actors, with my designers, kind of seeing a piece of work come from paper to full-on mounted production, it's my equivalent of giving birth. And I love that. And I really, really miss that part of it.
That's quite the analogy, but I can really appreciate that analogy. Are there any benefits at all that you capitalized on since we've been in this quarantine situation?
Benefits that I should have capitalized on?
Let's talk about those.
So, so I have been involved in a lot of different readings, which helps me to discover more scripts, more playwrights. I have not capitalized on finishing my own script. So we need to work on that. But I do enjoy a lot of the online content people are making out there. But more than anything, being able to really be a part of being in a reading, for instance, kind of having that community back, even if only virtually, helps. And it also has allowed me to discover other artists who I've heard of, but had never met.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's when I met you. I'd heard about you, and I met you at a reading.
Ditto. Yep.
Yeah, that was quite the read.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything else from that production, that show.
We literally were just speaking about that reading yesterday with the director, L. Peter Callender, because, and I know this is something that we'll probably talk about a little bit later, some other projects I have coming up, and then I'll wait for that question. How about that?
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm always curious about directors and readings. Do you find it difficult to stay in the role of actor during a reading, or does your director come forth a lot?
I can separate the two. Okay. What's difficult for me as an actor in a reading is I do feel the energy of my character drop if I'm not in the scene, right? Okay. It's just a reading. There's nothing for me to do, so to speak. And it's harder to stay in the moment if I'm not in the scene, even though I'm being watched. I'm going to answer this question also from a director's point of view. Okay. The most difficult thing for me as a director when I'm directing a reading is expecting that there is some preparation before the meeting, right? So even though we have a rehearsal, we have a talk through, what have you, and then the reading happens and I realize that there really is no preparation. Or have you ever seen a reading that's like, okay, that individual just opened that script this morning. That's borderline unacceptable to me, right? So, and I kind of get the mindset of, well, it's a reading. I don't really have to prepare as if I'm going to be performing on stage in front of 300 people, right. But the bottom line, it is still a performance.
Right.
So my advice to actors that are doing a reading is treat that almost like an audition. So if I have a script that I've written and I have a bunch of actors around reading each of these roles, I may think of you for that role when I'm ready to cast. But if you didn't put any work in it, you're not going to be at the top of my list.
Right, and that makes sense. And I'm taking all that in because I've yet to be directed by you. So I know what to
Okay.
expect during a reading of yours.
All right. Well, if I finish this next script, then there'll be something there for you, possibly. How about that?
Well, I'll definitely be looking into that. I guess it's a matter of respect to the writer's work as well, because I'm sure that a writer is really trying to see those words in action, really.
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
I guess that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Mad respect to the playwright, but also respect to everyone else that's on the project.
Yeah.
Right? What theater is not an island. It's not a one-man show. Theater is all about collaboration and teamwork with everyone else. And even if it is a one-man show, you still got a bunch of teammates that are relying on you doing your work.
Right. Right. This is true. I love the teamwork involved in a play production.
Yeah.
Well, during this time, what, if anything, are you doing to maintain your chops as a writer, actor, and director?
On the actor side, just involved in as many readings as possible. Reading parts that I wouldn't normally be considered for. The other day, we did a reading of The Cripple of Inishmaan, and I got to play an Irish boy. And it was hilarious, and it was fun, and my Irish accent was awful, and I didn't care. I didn't care because I was having a good time with it. And I love the character, so that was great. As a director, I do have a show that has been postponed a month. So it's really getting into that script, blocking it, making any kind of changes that need to be made depending on what the venue is going to look like once it is mounted. So that's been difficult to be motivated to do that just because of the unknown about what's going to happen with the show. But I got to do it. I'd much rather be prepared and it gets postponed further out than not be prepared and then boom, 2 days later there's rehearsal.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Right? So, and there's nothing more egregious to me than a director who walks in a room and doesn't know what he or she wants.
Okay.
Our work starts way before rehearsal. And to walk in and not be able to give an actor what he or she needs is a problem. I feel like this. As an actor, nobody in that room should know that character better than me, except for the playwright. As a director, no one in that room should know that show better than me. So if an actor comes to me with a question, I should be able to answer that. And I can't do that without preparation.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, speaking of shows, what shows were we deprived of with this sudden pause in physical gatherings?
Yeah, I was actually in the middle of a show at Central Works called The Human House, and we had to cancel the last 5 performances. So at least we got a nice run in there. The show that I was going to start rehearsing literally 2 days after that show ended up being postponed to that theater's 2021 season. And then the show that I am supposed to be directing that would open in October, that theater postponed that show until hopefully their next season. Yeah.
So quite a bit we've been deprived of.
Right. But I have a little bit of good news.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I finished a one-act play called The Drowning Pool. I had a reading last year and did some rewrites, finalized it in December. And we're going to have a reading of that play, virtual, of course, this month. Yeah, we're working on the date that works best, but it'll be online content available, and I'll make sure that I give you all the information for it.
Well, thank you very much. That's really good. And is there anything else that's in the works right now that you have in the lab?
Just writing. I've gotten this itch to write a bunch of short plays. So I've been busting out these, 3 to 7 minute short stories. I don't know where they're going to go, but I have a lot of stuff in my head that I need to get out because my brain doesn't shut up sometimes. So if I can get it out of my head, off of my chest, and then who knows, something may happen with it. There was a short story, believe it or not, when I was 17 years old, I wrote a short story in drama class that turned into a full-length screenplay. So I don't know what's going to happen with this, but that helps me stay creative.
Good. That's a lot to expect at the same time. What would you say is your favorite show that you've directed to date?
It was Hickory Dickory at the Dragon Theater in Redwood City. Yeah, that I love quirky, unexpected pieces of work. I had an amazing cast who just they fell in love with each other, fell in love with the script. The theater was awesome. The ADs were amazing, supportive. And it was just one of the best pieces of work all around. On stage, the sound, the lighting. And yeah, I'm in love with that show, and I would direct it again.
Well, that's good. Who wrote that? You remember who wrote it?
Her name is Melissa Wesergan.
Okay.
Yeah, probably not a well-known playwright, but I fell in love with her. And there's another script that she wrote called Killing Women about female assassins.
Oh, wow.
And I have got to get somebody to produce that because it is hilarious.
Really?
Yeah. And I'll be selfish though, because I really want to play one of the characters.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Female assassin. It's a little bit of a stretch. So but I think I can work with it.
Okay. I want to see another show that you directed. What was that show with brilliant Michael Curry
Michael Curry, Dorian Lockett, Top Dog, Underdog.
My goodness, amazing!
Yeah,
amazing actors. I love seeing them do that thing. And yes, yeah. Top Dog, Underdog. I got to see that.
That was a really interesting. Thank you for that. I'm really proud of that show. It was a really interesting process because that show was a replacement show. So I have a 2.5 hour two-hander that we need to get up in 3.5 weeks. And we got the script the first day of rehearsal.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Right. But what it came down to was just hard work.
Yeah.
It was just, and by the way, week 1, I could not get Dorian and Michael in the same room because they were both working on shows. So how do you rehearse a two-hander when you can't get your folks in the same room at the same time? We made it work.
My goodness.
We made it work
because it was gripping.
Thank you.
I have to say, and the way that the space was utilized at the waterfront. It was
at the waterfront. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, it was nice.
Well Thank you. If I didn't have phenomenal actors, I don't know who were that dedicated. I don't know how we would have pulled it off. I don't know how we would have pulled it off with some modicum of success. Right? So you can pull off any show, but is it successful?
Right.
We were aiming toward excellence every day. And I'm really proud of those guys.
Oh, yeah,
both, by the way, received TBA nominations for Best Actor.
Well deserved. I mean, they were definitely the Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen in that performance. It was beautiful. I loved it.
They would love to hear you say that.
Oh, well, I'll text them and tell them. I believe that I did.
Wait, so that makes me feel Jackson.
I guess that would.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Phyllis Jackson. Okay. So what's your dream role to portray as an actor?
I really want to play Commander Galloway in A Few Good Men. That's been my dream for about 20 years.
Now, wait a minute. It's been a while since I've seen that. Is that the Jack Nicholson character?
No. I'm sorry. It's the movie. You're thinking of the right movie.
Okay.
So it would have been Demi Moore's character.
Oh, Jimmy Moore's character.
Yeah. So it initially started off as a stage play. Aaron Sorkin became a film, and then there was another theater, and I apologize, I can't remember the other theater, I believe, who produced the show. I didn't know anything about it, and I was a little jealous that I didn't get a chance to, I didn't get a chance to audition for it, but I didn't get a chance to see it. I found out about it on its closing weekend. But yeah, that would be my dream role.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope some people who want to put that on is hearing this right now. What about favorite show to direct? The most desired show to direct? And I know that very well may be the one that you're writing.
I didn't, well, yeah, but that wasn't going to be the first thing I said.
Oh.
There's a play out there called The Last Supper by Dan Rosen. It is a dark comedy about a bunch of liberal people that invite folks over to their place and have dinner. And if they agree with what you say, you get the wine from the red carafe. And if they don't agree with what you say, you get the wine from the blue carafe. So, yeah, it's a little dark, but that's what I like. And we'll see if I can get my hands on it.
All right. Well,
then yes. Number 2 would be The Drowning Pool, written and directed by Kimberly Ridgeway.
Absolutely. Well, having so much experience, having so much knowledge and so much talent, and seeing that people have not bought into yet, I am not gonna stop my path of becoming an artist. What advice would you give those who pursue that, especially young people and for older people who are newbies?
Mm-hmm.
What advice?
Yeah, actors, focus on the goal, focus on the work, focus on aiming for excellence. Don't focus on the kudos. Don't focus on the awards. There are 1.8 million theaters in the Bay Area and 10.9 billion actors in the Bay Area. Not everybody is going to be rewarded for their work. And that doesn't mean you're undervalued, right? If you place your value on other people's rewards for you, on other people's pats on the back, you're never going to be satisfied. And by all means, we're our worst critic. We can always find something to improve on in our performances. But if every time you get out there, whether it's an audition, it is an actual performance, it's a reading, whatever, every time you get out there, if you aim for excellence, you're going to be successful, period. For older actors, there are a lot more roles out there that are becoming available for us. Notice I said us, right? So once you get over a certain age, then we assume that the roles are going to dry up. And they could, and sometimes we age ourselves out of certain roles, and that's fine. But there is that one piece of work out there that has your name on it, right? And let me throw this other thing out there too. Last night we had a little panel about auditioning. There were some actors there, and there were 4 directors there. And one of the things that one of the directors said is, you just go out and you do your best at your audition. And sometimes the director is looking for a can of Pepsi and you're a can of Fanta, but that's okay. And so I raised my hand and I said, well, sometimes I'm looking for a can of Pepsi and then I see that Fanta and I'm like, no, I want that Fanta. So you just do you, because something could change in the way that a casting director sees a role because of something you did, the way you interpreted it. So if you just go out and do what you prepare, and then you know that you're doing your best, all the cards will fall in place for you when it's right at the right time for the right role.
All right, it's very good advice. Seeing the multitude of changes that we've been experiencing here and having every reason to believe that going forth the day after would not look like the day before. What direction do you believe that the arts should be moving in? Or should it just stay committed to where it is? Is there
I think
anything?
regardless, yeah, I think that regardless of the fact that we're in this pandemic and things have changed drastically, I think that arts should always be moving. We should not be doing status quo, right? So what I love is, I love the classics, but I love new takes on the classics. I love something different. Show me the same story in a different voice. Show me new stories. Take risks on new artists. Take risks on new playwrights. Work with them, help cultivate them, right? Because your audience, your audience is not going to come back full-fledged, right? Doors open, you have a 400-seat house, you're not going to fill 400 seats just because it's going to take a minute for people to feel more comfortable, get back into the swing of things, feel more comfortable of being out there, so on and so forth. But I think folks are hungry for something new. Yeah. Right? And not necessarily new works, even though, I'm a playwright, so I'm like, yeah, go for the new works. But also, as you look at classic pieces, how can you tell the story to an audience that's probably seen that piece 8 times already? Show me the 9th that is so different and probably so much better because now I've seen it from another perspective.
Right.
And I think audiences are itching for things like that.
Yeah, I guess it's, every now and then we do change our furniture around, right?
Well, some of us do.
Well, I am so very grateful for the time that you shared with us today.
Thank you.
And so grateful for the wisdom that you've given, and really got a lot of joy in knowing what's coming forward for you and want to be a part of it.
Okay.
Yes. And want to support it.
I appreciate that so much. And I will absolutely keep you up to date on all of the things that I'm doing, even with the other shows I have that are possibly postponed or not.
Thank you so very much. The talented, the beautiful, the insightful Miss Kimberly Ridgeway. Thank you so very much.
Appreciate it.